I like it spooky.
Hey, what's up, hardheads? Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm here to review Shudder's original movie, Spiral.
We've been chosen.
Chosen for what?
Some kind of ritual. Every 10 years they make a selection.
Do you see that?
We're the selection.
Spiral is directed by Curtis David Harder and starring Jeffrey Bowyer-Chapman and Cohen. I feel like horror is now in the world of social horror or psychological horror. Being as though that we have Jordan Peele's Get Out and Us, and then earlier this year we got The Lodge. This movie, I will say, is on par with those films there. And the reason why I compare it to those films is because this movie is tackling, social issues regarding, LGBT community and also a biracial same-sex couple. And we really don't have too many movies that's horror and also LGBT characters blended together. Even though that this movie focuses on the same-sex couple that's biracial and also have a daughter that's moving into a new home in like a suburban country or whatever area. I know those two don't go together, but that's what it seemed like to me. And as soon as they move into this new home, strange things starts happening. And the only characters that don't really notice anything is Kayla, which is their daughter, and Aaron. Malik is played by Jeffrey Bowyer-Chapman. He's the only one that kind of notices microaggression with their neighbors and also these oddities that's happening across the street from them. It's these weird things that he's only noticing, whereas though Aaron and Kayla don't really notice these things. They think the neighborhood is fine, they think their neighbors are cool, and they're not really worrying about that. Whereas though Malik, he's a stay-at-home dad, so he spends most of his time at home, and he's noticing all these weird things that's going on around the neighborhood during the day and also at night. And guys, I will say, it's so much that goes on in this film. When I first viewed this, I didn't know what the hell was going on because the synopsis doesn't really tell you anything, which is good because you don't want a movie spoiled through trailers or the synopsis, because even the trailer of this movie don't give too much away. This movie is totally different from what we see and what we read. So when I first viewed this film and watched it for the first time, I was kind of surprised, but also kind of had a lot of questions, as I do with a lot of movies, but this one kind of left a lot of questions for me. So I had to watch this movie a second time, and when I did that, some of those questions were answered for me because I actually paid more attention. And I guess certain movies you have to watch a couple times to understand. At least I'm just one of those guys that have to watch the second or third time to understand. But there's still some questions in this movie that's left open that I need answered. You're following Malik as he starts to notice these things, and he's trying to put together puzzles and, trying to piece together things because things don't seem quite right in this neighborhood. Everybody's acting weird. He's noticing like some weird rituals going on, and he's just trying to understand what's going on in this neighborhood where everybody else doesn't believe him. And he's also dealing with some personal issues of his own that came back from his past that he's dealing with today. So with that, combined with what's going on in his new neighborhood and his new neighbors and also in his own marriage, Malik is kind of going through it in this film. You kind of feel for him, and that leads me into Jeffrey Bowyer-Chapman. I've always been a fan of Jeffrey Bowyer-Chapman. I loved him in The Skinny. That was my first movie that I seen him in, and also I love him in American Horror Story Apocalypse. He did such a great job on that. You can also check him out on RuPaul's Drag Race, the Canada version, not the US version. But I was actually surprised when I heard about this film and I seen that Jeffrey Bowyer-Chapman was the lead of this because we need a queer black lead in horror film. So I was actually happy that he was leading this film, and he did such an amazing job. He left a big impression on me by playing this character Malik. Rather, he's going through psychological issues, stuff that he's battling inside himself. Also, his experiences outside of his new living situation and also in his marriage. So Malik has a lot going on, and Jeffrey does a great job conveying that attitude of, just being, queer and proud and happy with his family. He don't care how people look at him. Clearly, when you watch some of these scenes in here, he's just putting it all in their face because he's loud and proud, and that's what I love so much much about his character. But when he's going through some traumatic events in his movie, you kind of feel for him, and you just want to give this man a huge hug because so much is happening in his movie. Nobody believes him. You know, his family thinks he's crazy. The neighbors thinks he's crazy, but it's all a mind trick and it's all a game. And like I said, Jeffrey does a great job bringing that energy out. You actually see the mindset that Malik is in, and you actually want to just, like I said, help him out so bad because it's not his fault on what they're doing to him in this movie. So Jeffrey did such an amazing job, and I was just happy to see him lead in a horror film, and an LGBT horror film at that. So good job, Jeffrey. And also Cohen, who plays Aaron, which is Malik's husband in this movie, he does an amazing job. At first, I thought he was a part of the shenanigans that was happening in his town because he was just so oblivious to everything. He acted like he didn't care. He acted like he wasn't completely there for his husband, which was kind of odd to me, especially if you see, you know, you moved into this new town and you kind of just like he wouldn't just be making these things up. But being as though what was going on with Malik previously, I can kind of understand where Aaron is coming from, but at the same time, it was a bit much. So Ari Cohen also did an amazing job playing that character because he made me want to choke him because he wasn't believing in his husband and a lot of these events that was happening. So that was getting on my nerves. So what I liked about this movie, guys, is that they dealt with some heavy subject matter here, with derogatory terms being used in a couple of scenes in this movie, you know, regarding, you know, the same-sex couple and just how that was handled. But what I liked about this film, guys, is that it does focus on a same-sex couple, a biracial couple at that, and you have a black queer lead, you know, in this horror film that just does an amazing job, and also shows some relatability with the characters. So that's part of the reason why I love this film. And also, again, social horror is like a big thing now. I can't get enough of it because it's actually tackling real-life events that's going on in the world, no matter who you are. It is kind of a slow burn movie, but I feel like the payoff at the end of it is actually really good. Even though it's a slow burn, I feel like they did a good job with the pacing of this film because character development, you gotta know, you know, the married couple and their daughter, you gotta know the neighbors. They also play with some backstory stuff going on here. So even though, like I said, it's a slow burn, the pacing of this movie is still pretty good. It clocks in just under an hour and 30 minutes, so it's not that long of a movie, which is great for most people. And one of my dislikes is I wish that they explained a little bit more at the end of this film. I feel like the payoff was good, but at the same time, there were certain things missing that I wanted more of, and they didn't deliver that to us. So I'm hoping that eventually, if this movie does good, they probably do a sequel or something like that, because I want to know a little bit more information on what's going on with these neighbors and why they're doing what they're doing. Like you get hints of why they're doing what they're doing, but I want to dig a little bit deeper. Like that's just the person I am, my preference. I like to dig deep in things, so I prefer to dig deeper. So I just wanted a little bit more. And also another negative is Aaron. Like, again, as a husband and being married to this person and having a kid, when you have the people that you love, you know, complaining about stuff and, you know, scared about, you know, their environment, especially people's breaking in and people's acting strange and, you know, derogatory words and terms and stuff is being used against you, you kind of have to be there to, you know, comfort your significant other and your child. And I feel like Aaron wasn't really doing that. I'm not too sure if it had anything to do with what was going on outside of their house for the reason why he was acting that way. But if that wasn't the reason, then he was kind of a shitty husband, and I disliked him a lot. So overall, Spiral was a good film. I did expect a little bit more from the movie. I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed Jeffrey Bowyer-Chapman. Again, big fan. I'm happy to see a black queer lead in this movie, and it gives us something a little bit different. Also, us getting a queer social horror. But I believe everybody needs to see this because, especially by the end of this film, you kind of get a reason why these villains are doing what they're doing and who they're attacking specifically. And it's kind of messed up, and you kind of think, is this happening in real life? But I enjoyed Spiral a lot. I had a good time watching it. And for my rating, I give Spiral a 5.5 out of a 10. Right in the middle. Not the best entire movie. Like I said, I had problems with it, but I still enjoyed it. So it was right in the middle. And even though they tackle some crazy issues in this movie, I wish they just added a little bit more to it just to give us that extra punch because I felt like we needed it. It did a good job doing that with this movie already, but I felt like we just needed something a little bit extra and a little bit more of an explanation. But overall, Again, like I said, I give Spiral a 5.5. Enjoyable film, not the best. It's a good movie to start off the 61 days of Halloween that Shudder is doing. So yeah, guys, watch Spiral when you get a chance on September 17th. This coming Thursday, tomorrow actually. So watch it tomorrow on Shudder. Go watch the movie, then come back to this video, leave a comment because I want to know what you guys thought about this movie. I'm really curious. So yeah, go watch Spiral and then come back to this video and leave a comment. I really appreciate that. So yeah, guys, there goes my review for Shudder's original movie, Spiral. Make sure that you like this video. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already to watch your boy grow. I really appreciate it. And tell your friends and family and stuff that loves horror to come join this channel. Thanks again, guys. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys next one. Peace out.